Hey there, it's Freddie Cruz, and this is the second of two conversations I recorded at Archway Gallery this week. Hence the difference in sound quality. A little reverby, but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with Harold Joyner. Now, if you know me, then you ought to know by now that talking with creators of all stripes about their processes is something I love to geek out on, so it was especially fun to catch up with Harold and learn about what gets his creative juices flowing. During this episode, we're going to talk about his use of colors, his creative process, and of course, the storytelling aspect of painting, and much, much more. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with your family and friends, and or leave a short review on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Ed Sheeran. This is Bruno Mars.
Hey, it's Katy Perry.
This is your man Flo Rida with Freddie Cruz.
This is AJ Mitchell with Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Tell your Chico pick Mr. 305 and you already know what it is.
My name is Freddie, and it's time to cruise through HTX. What do people get wrong about the art scene in Houston?
Well, I don't know that I want to say what they get wrong, but one of the things that we observe here in Archway is we have a situation frequently where people come into the art gallery for the first time and they are surprised to find that there's no admission charge. And I think that implies that there is some confusion in their mind about the difference between an art gallery and an art museum. Mm-hmm. And frequently, a lot of museums, the Museum of Fine Arts, for example, here in Houston, there's an admission fee.
Yep.
But we're an art gallery. We're a commercial gallery. We pay for our premises based on the commissions from the work that we sell. So that's one very surprising thing. And also, I will say that at Archway, one of the other preconceptions that people seem to have is that there's something a little bit intimidating about going into an art gallery, and they are surprised when they come here and find that we're very friendly and very approachable, and, there's no pretensions, so come on in, can we offer you a cup of coffee, that kind of approach. And I think a lot of galleries are maybe a little bit intimidating to some people.
I blame TV. You got the snooty 30-something with the beret. He's from France, and he's wearing the black turtleneck.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, you don't know my art.
Yes. Well, we joke amongst ourselves about when we're taking pictures of each other with our art, oh, just a minute, let me put on my beret and get my palette in front of me.
Yeah. I love this headline. And that is, for 47 years, 30 right brains have elevated local art in Houston. And for 47 years, that's a huge deal. And it's not just the longest running gallery in Houston, but in the state of Texas.
It's the longest running artist-owned gallery. There may be art galleries of the more traditional vintage.
Gotcha.
That are longer running, but certainly among artist-owned galleries, Archway is the oldest. We began in 1976 at the Jung Center on Montrose Boulevard, and that is where our name comes from. As you enter the Jung Center, you walk through a series of arches to enter that facility, and that's where we took the name from. Originally, the gallery, it was just like half a dozen artists in what I think is now the bookstore at the Jung Center.
Okay.
And we have grown now, there are 34 of us. So we've grown a lot. We've been in a number of different locations around the city during that 47 years. But we've been here in this Dunleavy location for probably about 15 years. It's a great location because we're in the heart of Montrose, and Montrose is perhaps the most walkable kind of part of town, and we do have a lot of foot traffic. We have people who just are walking by, and decide to drop in. For that reason, I will say that on days when the weather is really nice outside, we like to prop the door open. And there's just something very inviting about that for people to just, come on in.
You ever have somebody come in and they make an impulse purchase of one of these pieces? I mean, you've got a great array of art, not just art on canvas, but also photographs and sculptures and multiple price points too. I mean, it's not all super expensive. You've got lesser expensive things. I mean, do you have somebody come in and are like, I love this and it wasn't at West Elm. I couldn't find anything like this in a store and I got to have it.
It does happen, usually, and to your point about the different price levels, frequently the spontaneous purchases like that from somebody that just wandered in are the smaller priced items. A large painting, for example, a large sofa size painting, is generally something that somebody needs to think about, but that has also happened. Also, we host a lot of events here at the gallery, and it does happen at those events. A mixer, a corporate mixer, or a wedding, or just a cocktail party that someone has here in the gallery. That somebody sees something that they really like and they come back then a day or two later and purchase that piece. So it works both ways.
So building on the fact that this is owned by artists, you yourself, an artist, I saw some of your paintings. Let's talk about your work.
What I can say about my work is it's evolved over the years, as probably every artist can say. I began as an abstract painter, what is typically called abstract, but it's really non-objective. That is just starting with a blank canvas and painting from impulse only, and producing work that is non-objective. It's not trying to capture any particular thing. And then I became enamored of landscape painting, and I decided that if I were going to do that, I needed to be able to do it really well. So I went back and took some training under some accomplished landscape painters, and I did that. I painted realistic landscapes for a number of years. And within the last few years, beginning with my exhibition in November of 2021, I changed back to a kind of expression that is sort of halfway in between. It's taking the landscape and abstracting it, reducing it, making it simpler, and concentrating on shapes and colors more than an accurate, detailed capture of the landscape.
What are your favorite colors to paint with?
Name a color, and it's my favorite. I guess I would have to say that I'm very partial to blues, but in painting landscape paintings, I tend to gravitate to things that are associated with the earth. So blues could be water, rust colors and oranges and tans and colors like that are associated, with the earth, and sometimes greens also, if it's a verdant landscape. When
you're painting a piece, and let's say you got to take a break from it for whatever reason, maybe it's a creative rut, maybe you have to go run an errand or whatever, you come back and you're like, all right, that's different from what I expected. For good, for bad, for worse, whatever. What do you do? How do you do to get back into the groove of what it was you were trying to accomplish?
Well, I paint in oil, but I paint with quick dry medium, and I paint in layers. Okay. So I paint on a piece one day, and then I put it aside, and by the time I'm back into the studio the next day, that layer is dry, with the exception of a few pigments that are just slow drying. And so I can work on it the next day. And when I go back into the studio, I take a look at it and I do just what you said. I kind of assess it, and the assessment is sometimes negative. It may be encouraging. It may be any number of things, but I evaluate. I guess what I'm saying is I spend as much time sitting and looking at it and trying to determine what to do next as I do actually executing that change.
When it's when your feelings are negative about what you're looking at, what you did the day before, how do you dig yourself out of that?
Meditation, continuing to look at the piece, kind of searching my mind for what's the piece of the puzzle that's missing, or which pieces are in the wrong place, or so there's a good deal of analysis work that goes into that. And if at the end I can't figure out exactly what it is, then I may put that work aside and come back to it later. And if I do that, if I put it aside for a few days, something will materialize. I'll get some idea. Sometimes I take a piece and put it aside for a long period of time.
How long?
Oh, maybe weeks.
Okay, so never longer than a year.
Oh, no, not that long. But if it's something I'm going to continue working on, it may be sitting aside for weeks or maybe even a couple of months, let's say. And it'll be sitting there on that easel on the side. There's another easel that I display works on the side. It's not my working easel. And it'll be sitting there. And someday I'll walk by it and look at it, and it just is, it just clicks for me. It's like, oh, yes, that's it.
It doesn't. Do you ever feel when you walk by something that is a sort of work in progress, for lack of a better phrase? Do you ever look at it and it's like, oh, you're looking at me again. You're teasing me. You're goading me. You want me to stop. You want me to do this. You want me to throw you away. I'm not going to. I'm not giving up on you.
Yes, I have a conversation, as you suggest, with the paintings when I'm working on them, and sometimes they speak to me, and sometimes they're silent, and I have to coax it out of them. But yeah, I do.
Painters and writers are really not very different from each other.
I think that's probably true. The best writing that I enjoy is writing that paints a very vivid image in my mind. I particularly like authors who are very skillful with the words they use because as I said, it just really paints an image in my mind. So yeah, I think that's a good analogy.
It's storytelling, and it's interesting seeing all the different work here at Archway, how you've got your featured artist, Jim Hill, and there's stories behind, there's the City Park one, that's a story, and then you hear him talk about the, was it the trip to Mexico, I think it was, with the gentleman with the guitar. And I'm sure there's a story behind every single thing and that's what makes it so special about each piece, is that there is something that has inspired that.
I've said in my comments on the gallery's Facebook posts about Jim's work is that I've always put in the comment, Jim is a storyteller. So yeah, there is a story here, and you will see that in a lot of the works of the artists in the gallery.
And it's interesting because it's also true for pieces that don't have humans or even animals in them. It could be something like the Danube, which you're sitting in front of. It's another one of Jim's pieces. Or it could be a story of the sculpture. I think you have an artist here that uses unclaimed, reclaimed metal waste, and he made this cute little robot / animal looking thing. I think it's untitled, right?
It's untitled, but that's rare. That's our own Jim Adams that you're speaking about.
There you go.
Yes. He says reclaimed metal, and his work is all made from that. And so he transforms that into something that is artful and frequently humorous to look at.
Yeah, and I think it's cute. It's like a rusty little robot, but it looks almost like a fowl, like a I don't know, some kind of weird chicken. I don't know. It had I think it's skinny legs or something.
Because of the skinny little legs on it,
Yeah.
and the feet on the legs. Yes.
Oh, I forget the Disney robot movie. This might have been before I had kids. I don't know. I'm not even trying. It's not iRobot. That's a human movie. But yeah, no. To your point, I think it's great that you all there's something behind every single piece that is here.
That's true. And to your point about the seemingly non-objective works, frequently someone painting a non-objective painting will be working in front of the canvas and working on it, and it's during the process of creating that painting that something, pops into his or her mind. In my own experience of non-objective painting, I can say that I'm working on it and something presents itself to me. And frequently, when that happens, I can connect that with something that just happened to me yesterday or a few days ago or last week, and I'm still carrying that in my mind.
And that's the story behind how it got finished, why it looks like that, what colors you used.
And that becomes the story for that painting.
Yeah.
And frequently in the artist talks that are given at the opening reception, frequently the artist gives a little bit of that and explains a little bit about the methodology and the process and, what went on, with him or her, when creating that work.
Y'all, come and check out this place. It is Archway Gallery in the Montrose area, archwaygallery.com. It is the longest artist-owned gallery, not just in the Houston area, but in the Lone Star State. Come on by and see them. Harold, thank you so much for letting me crash the gallery and set up the mics and speak with you.
Thank you, Freddie.
Hey, it's me. I'm back with a quick little nudge. If you enjoyed this podcast as much as I did putting it together for you, then please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the newsletter at cruisethroughhtx.com and share with your family and friends. Thank you.